Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's Charlie Fibrosis. So, this is going to be a bit of a long video with a lot of talking and a lot of showcasing and a lot of everything. But, being frank, I'd much rather just kind of go through this and get through everything rather than making like multiple segments or so, short videos. So, I'm just simply going to show off like pretty much all of my NASCAR and Diecast that I've got collected throughout the years. This stuff's still in the original packaging for obvious reasons, and so, which I'm not going to open them up. This isn't an unboxing, but this is just to show off all the stuff that I've got. So let's get into it, shall we? Alright, so the very first segment that we will be going over is we will be going over mainly boxed cars for the most part. Stuff that still is packaged, everything else like that, and kind of go through. I will do the best I can to showcase the car at least, but there are obviously some little issues here and there. So let's get into it. So first up, show this off. Alright, first up, this was a bit of an accidental purchase. I was looking into getting a replacement number 3 AC Delco car for Dale Earnhardt Jr. And this kind of just got included, so, and I like it. I like it enough that I wanted to keep it around. So we got the AC Delco 1997 Suzuka Special that Dale Earnhardt drove. Personally, I think it's a really slick car. I kind of am surprised that AC Delco never actually kind of went with this scheme with Junior, and even though that the Suzuka races run at the end of the 1997 season, like, even you could make a case for Steve Park too when he drove the number 3 car. So yeah, really interesting. There really isn't much to say about it, at least. It's just an action car on the back of it. But yeah, so I keep this hung up on a little post in the background, typically in my videos. And yeah, that's that for AC Delco Dale Earnhardt 1997 Suzuka Challenge. Alright, next up we're gonna kind of rapid fire through most of these cars. So here we go. By far the technically oldest diecast that I have. We got Richard Petty's Racing Superstars, Racing Champions, Plymouth Superbird. Very, very slick. It's really cool to have this. I do like it. Gotta love the King. Next up, a Road Champs. I've never really heard of this company, but I found this at a local flea market. We got Mark Martin's, I think 1992, 1994, Ford Thunderbird, 1992, Valvoline scheme. So I did like that. Next up, we got an underrated driver. And certainly didn't expect him to win a Daytona 500, but we got ourselves Ernie Irvan. Picture from when he won the 1991 Daytona 500 from Morgan McLaren Motorsports. Pretty good all in all. Next up, this one is actually really, really special. We got a Jeff Gordon Rookie Racing Champions card deal from 1993. So this is absolutely without a doubt when he started his rookie season. So got the Rainbow Warriors on there. Very interesting to have. Next up, we got, now the box has got some damage to it, so that kind of sucks, but we have one of 32, I think, one of 29, according to the packaging. One of Richard Petty's fan appreciation cars from the 1992 retirement tour. Limited edition Talladega Super Speedway Diehard 500. Very cool to have. Even though I wasn't born in 92. Next up, we'll get into a late driver. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like 1992 is when this was made. And kind of interesting on the back there as I look at it one of the first times. We got late great Davey Allison from Racing Superstars by Matchbox. And it's just a somewhat generic 28 Texaco Havoline car. Not much to it, but figured it'd be good to have in the collection. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and go there. So we're going to jump all the way in 1998 with the 50th some of the 50th anniversary cars from Racing Champions. We got Ricky Craven's. Technically it was Bud, but since this is Racing Champions, it's Ricky and Hendrick Motorsports as the sponsorship there, celebrating the 50th anniversary of the NASCAR Winston Cup Series for that season. Pretty nice. Next up, from the 50th anniversary, we have the number 30 Slim Jim car driven in the NASCAR Busch Series, I believe, by Mr. Mike Cope. Kind of like that, actually. Mostly I liked it when it was the 44 with Bob Labonte driving, and Terry Labonte I think too, but hey, pretty cool. Next up, just a year earlier on the next two, because I didn't realize this, we got from Racing Champions a Bill Elliott McDonald's Ford Thunderbird diecast. Pretty nice. Never been opened. Alright, sorry everyone, my camera decided to commit the cardinal sin of death by battery. So, anyway, moving on. So, next up we've got another 1997 NASCAR. We got the, interestingly, number 91 Spam car that was driven by Mike Wallace in 1997. Racing Champions. Pretty cool. I'm not even a Mike Wallace fan, but I just saw that and it's like, oh cool, a backmarker car. That's actually kind of interesting. And unfortunately we don't have the Lake Speed Spam car, so sorry about that everyone. Next up, we're going to kind of jump through years a little bit. So we got this 2002 edition Racing Champions Collector's Series of Jimmy Johnson and his rookie year, I believe. Yep, we got the rookie stripes on there. So we got a card in there, we got the car, we got the Chase the Race, I think was this promotion. So yeah, pretty cool. We got a rookie year Jimmy Johnson car. Next up, this is actually really cool. I can't even remember actually if I found this or someone else did for me. But they had a Jeff Gordon Lifetime Series from Winner's Circle. This had Pepsi with 2000, MP Vacuum from 1990, a sprint car, the 2000 DuPont Automotive car, the 92 DuPont Automotive Finishes car, 93 and 96 DuPont cars as well. But we got the MP Vacuum sprint car. Sprint cars seem to be very, very difficult to find. But I'm actually really, really happy to have this. I think that's really cool. Like, just early years, Jeff Gordon, pre-NASCAR, you get to see what his early roots are like. I think that's awesome. And honestly, paint scheme's pretty slick too. Kind of wish I could paint this up and then on or something like that. There's that. And then we got about 4 more packaged cars to go through real quick. Let's review this one. We got a Lifetime series as well. This is a 5-pack series for Dale Jr. We got 1999, 1997 Sickens, 1996 Mom and Pop, 1996 GM Goodwrench from the late model series, and then 2001 after his rookie season. So this one, we got his technically very first NASCAR start. So we got the first NASCAR Cup Series start from Lowe's Motor Speedway. And even though that's got the Dale Jr. design on there, it's not anything to... It's not 100% sure in terms of being a adult collector, because it doesn't have Budweiser on there. I think this is still really, really cool, and I do like it. Next up, we're going to go well into the future in terms of all the box cars. This is the limited edition 2006 collector's car, though I found them to be more generic than anything. We got ourselves a Monte Carlo number 32 tied NASCAR. Nothing really special about it. I don't know. There is actually no driver mentioned in terms of who drove this. We do know from a fact that Travis Quapple drove the 32. We know that Bobby Hamilton Jr. drove the 32. We all know Ricky Craven drove the 32 for a long time, but he was obviously released. But yeah, interesting enough at least. And then we head to a different era. This is from Winner's Circle, and this is actually an adult licensed car. This is available for ages 21 and up. And it's very, very simple. All we have is a very simple red with Budweiser on the doors, nothing on the back. 2005 apparently. Yeah, this appears to be a 2005 Dale Earnhardt Jr. test car. No other reason why I have this other than the fact test cars do not seem to be a very frequent thing to be able to pick up, really. So, there we go. We got a Dale Earnhardt Jr. test car with Budweiser on it. Last up on the real big packaged cars, at least, as we go through this stuff, we have Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s born on date 2004, February 7th. So this is, as I see this now, this is technically not his Daytona 500 winning car. This is the one that he drove in the Gatorade Duels, I believe, for the way that it worked out to be. And it would be the very next week that he would win the Daytona 500. And so there's a part of me that kind of wants to find this paint scheme on a 124, the one with the Daytona 500 date on it instead, but that's just me. I may never be able to find it because of just the lateness of everything, but yeah, we at least got a car from that weekend, and I will take that. So I've grown to really, really like this scheme as time has moved on. So there we go. Dale Earnhardt Jr. with the 2004, guess this could technically be a Speed Weeks car. So there's that. Alright, next up, I've got some oddballs to show you. Some stuff that still is technically in its packaging. One car that's not. And we'll go through that here in a moment. So, alright, let's go over this interesting item. To all you guys, this may look like a Budweiser can. Yes, it looks that way. It is not. If you see, you pull this tab here, and what comes out? A Dale Earnhardt Jr. 164 Budweiser car. And this was, to my understanding, from the 2001 season. I was looking earlier this year into finding all the 2001 paint schemes from DEI, and I got as far as getting juniors. Not much else to say beyond that, honestly. So there's that. I think the packaging though is kind of cool. Yeah, this is a 2001 Monte Carlo, total production at 30,768 as I look at it. So I don't know if you guys will be able to see that necessarily. I will try to zoom in and get some focus, but I don't think that's going to work out too well. That's actually okay. I know you guys can't read it well, but it is what it is. So anyway, there's that. Alright, next up here to show you is something that to the common eye is going to be kind of just generic, but I went ahead and opened this. We've got a Dale Earnhardt Jr. AC Delco car from when he drove in the Busch Series. But there's something very, very interesting and special about this car. Beyond the fact that it can, well, move back and forth and everything like that, as I accidentally move it out of frame. Watch this. It is a tech car. You can take the body off this car and you can see the inner chassis and everything like that. And what's nice about it is it's all paired up together by magnets. So just wind it back up. There we go. All sturdy. I like keeping this one out. I've got a few of the AC Delco cars of juniors, and I think it looks really sweet. So, yeah, there's that. Okay, Dale, we're going to move you aside, and we're going to bring in another Dale car from the company Revel, oh no. From this group, we got another 2001 and 2002. I can't remember. It doesn't mention on the packaging, but we have another Dale Earnhardt Jr. 164 Budweiser car. I was personally going to put this up in my regular collection and everything like that, but I kind of decided against it. When we get to the 164s, I'll kind of show you everything, and so, but yeah, we got one of these, and I think I was kind of working on the same thing. I think I just wanted the 2002 model, I think this was. Mainly because of NASCAR Thunder 2003, but yeah. Hood opens and everything like that, and it comes in a nice little case. I like to set this up over the over my television, so if I ever need some inspiration or hope that Dale Earnhardt Jr. can push me through to victory, I can look up that and get a little spark of inspiration. Alright, next up, we're going to go well into the future. We're going to go back to 2015. So this was kind of an accidental purchase. I didn't realize the design on it was specifically a race win car, but all the same, this is like the only one that I can find, and I'm glad I got it at a good price. So here we go. We got Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s 2015 I guess Coke Zero 400, but a lot of us know it as the Pepsi 400, July Daytona Victory car. And I think that the paint scheme on this, the design, everything like that, I think it's hot. I really, really like the black design. The 2015 scheme kind of still fits within the regular nationwide primary design, but we got ourselves the American flag on the doors and up on the nose and everything like that. I keep this in the packaging just because it's not very common, at least, but I kind of keep that up with this Dale Jr. car. So when I'm racing like NR and stuff like that, and I'm running back when Junior was in the 8, I look at this. When I look at Dale Earnhardt Jr. and I'm running the 88, a more modern car, whatever the case is, I look at this, especially when we race at Daytona. So yeah, got those up. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause for a few minutes, and then I think the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and move over to some of my 164 cars and everything like that and kind of go through all that. Alright, let's go over some of the other stuff that I've got. So we've got, I don't know exactly what size this is, but it's definitely bigger than 164, maybe 124? Nah, 143? I don't know. But we got a Strip Weathers, otherwise Richard Petty, all things considered, Plymouth Superbird. I think I got this back in 2009 or so. So there's that. I've had that for a long time. And then I picked up these because I was actually looking for this car in particular. But picked up an assortment of these for like 79 cents or something like that per car. I got a few duplicates and I gave those away to my brothers, but we got a Chase Elliott Aftershocks car, Chase Elliott Napa Auto Parts car, Ryan Blaney's PPG car. I got this off of eBay. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Sonny D car, Martin Truex Jr. Sirius XM car, Eric Jones number 20 DeWalt car, and then I think, yeah, Paul Menard's number 21 Ford Motorcraft Mustang. So that is 143, and then a lineup of 187 NASCARs. Alright, next up we've got another assortment of cars. We've got Terry Labonte's, I think, 1996 Iron Man car that I think he drove at Phoenix, if I remember right. I think he actually drove this while injured, as I think about it. So, Terry, I think that was for a 600th or 500th start. I can't remember exactly, but just like on his way to win a championship. Didn't miss a single race for the longest time. With consistent starts and everything like that. And then got injured, still went out, still ran the race. I can't remember if he won or if he just did really, really well. So I got that car. It's not too bad. And then this E-Concert number 8 car that was given to me by my aunt. You'll actually see a duplicate of this a little bit later on. But I kept this one around specifically because my aunt unfortunately passed away back in 2009. I still like this car, even though it's got some wear and tear to it. It's too sentimental to me to just up and toss away. So there's that. And then actually, if you guys remember from earlier on in the channel, we got I used to run an Aftershocks, a purple Aftershocks car, and I kind of based that off of the Click and Close Mortgages car that Bubba Wallace ran. I couldn't really find one necessarily by the time that I thought about purchasing stuff related to Bubba Wallace, and so I couldn't really find much of anything in regards to like full-fledged 124, actually heavily decaled and detailed, like precise stuff. So there's that. Yeah, it's just a simple Spin Master's car, it does the trick. It does what it needs to do, and that is have the paint scheme on there, have the driver on there, and that is perfectly fine by me. Next up, as we look over and behind all the cars, we've got ourselves a very interesting box set. I'm going to see if I can get some light on there. Alright, so I got my phone out and everything. So what we're looking at is we've got a technically it's 1999, but I think it was sold in 2000 box set. This came from Walmart. We got Jimmy Hensley's 43 Dodge truck. We got John Andretti's 43 STP car. We got Kyle Petty's 44 Hot Wheels car. And Adam Petty's 45 Spree prepaid credit card, I think it was, car, all in a box set for the 50th anniversary of like Petty Enterprises and everything like that. So very interesting set. It's one of the only few things I have that's actually Adam Petty related. Obviously we know what happened to Adam and all of the stuff surrounding that, but yeah, I think my dad got this for like $15 in like 2000 money, so the year 2000 money. So I guess that they didn't really sell all that great or whatever the case is, but I found a handful of them out here. But yeah, really like it. I've never opened it up out of the packaging or so, and really do like it. So a little bit of NASCAR history there. Alright, let's move on to the next area. Alright, next up we got ourselves a Dave Blaney number 10 sprint car. I got this at Lawrenceburg Speedway in Indiana. They unfortunately didn't have any Steve Kinzer stuff. Steve Kinzer is one of the few drivers that I really like out of the World of Outlaws next to Dave. Steve, honestly, is by far my favorite driver in the sprint car series, but I got a lot of love and respect for Dave Blaney. So we got his 1995 championship winning World of Outlaws sprint car as shown here. Next up, one of the few boxed cars that I actually have around, we've got Kyle Larson's if I remember right, yeah, 2015 limited edition Target Bullseye car. You guys can see Bullseye right there. I always thought that this was a really cute car, all things considered. It's a simple scheme and everything like that, but it works. It works for their promotion and advertising, and I miss Target and NASCAR, but it is what it is. So, can't really remember where I even picked this up from, but I've had it for a couple of years now, so really liked it and thought that it was worthy of picking up. Next up, from the NASCAR Classics line, I picked up this number 6 STP car. That was originally DK Ulrich's car, if I remember right. But Richard Petty crashed his primary car, and I don't think that they had a backup. And the Pettys decided, hey, DK, would you be willing to essentially sell us one of your cars? We'll put decal and sponsoring and everything like that on it, because STP is paying us to. And we'll run one of your cars because we don't have a backup. It's an interesting piece of NASCAR history. I do like it. This is, like I said, this is one of the few cars that I actually have still boxed up and everything, but really interesting piece of NASCAR history. And when I saw this, I was like, I gotta get it. So, yeah, a 1986 Chevy Monte Carlo. Alright, we'll move on to the next thing. Next up, I think this is kind of appropriate. We have a Jack Sprague 1999 Team GMAC truck. So, Jack, I believe, was the champion in '99, and this was the very first exposure that I ever had to the truck series. My dad got this on a business trip, I believe it was, and it's definitely seen some action over the years. But I do really like Jack Sprague. Sprague, Terry Cook were like two of my favorite truck drivers when I got into the series around like 2004, 2005. And really, in particular, love this paint scheme that Sprague drove. So there's that. Next up, we got ourselves a Dale Earnhardt Jr. AC Delco car from, I think, Kenner Toys was the producer of this particular diecast. So, came with a card, which I have in my card book away. It's got the Twisted Sister design sorta that Steve Park mentioned in the Dale Jr. download. So, interior red chassis and everything. And yes, I am a massive Dale Earnhardt Jr. fan. And yes, I do like this scheme. So, I got a lot of copies of it. So there's that. Next up, I think this was pulled out of a cereal box. This is the John Andretti Pop Secret car. Or at least I think it was John Andretti. Very simple car. Very lightweight. But it's an additional paint scheme to have. Yeah, I think it's kind of cool. Next up, I think I'd share this. So, the Castrol number 66 Ford GT. As we move the truck back out of the way, we've got a Ford GT number 66 car and the Castrol 67. This I got a long while ago. This is based off of the Chip Ganassi Ford Performance Racing machine that was run in the IMSA sports car division. I think it's IMSA now, still. WeatherTech, I don't know. Anyway, so I got this, and then when I was looking around Maya randomly earlier this week, spotted this and I was like, okay, that would be a good companion to have to the 66 car. So now we have a field, and with the Castrol team truck, we can load up number 67, load up 66, and off we can go to the races. Next up, we've got a Ford Boss Mustang and a Ford Boss truck hauler thing. This is actually pretty sweet. Got the old school 1960s look. Simple car, all things considered. But this is kind of what got me into having a trailer or two just to haul the car around. So there you go, old vintage Fords. Alright, gonna speed this up along a little bit. So we've got a 2010 Chevrolet Camaro Pro Stock drag racer. Thought this was really cool. I don't see many drag races in general, so pick that up. This is a specialized Joey Logano edition Ford track racer. It looks like a Mustang of some type. To give you the actual name, the custom 2018 Ford Mustang GT. These are kind of interesting cars in the fact that you can adjust, in this case, the front splitter. But I thought it was really interesting. I first thought it was like a GT racing car, but with the Logano logo. This is something I just have never seen before and wanted to get. Next up, this is a 2018 regular Ford Mustang GT. But I kind of thought of the sports car divisions and everything like that with the design of it and thought it was kind of cool. Red and black. I like. And then finally, we got ourselves a Formula E F1 style car. Never have seen these before. I'm not big into Formula racing, at least on the European side of things. It's just something I don't really get a chance to watch about. But I also thought that the color scheme was kind of interesting with the color purple on it. So looks very, very sleek, and I will admit this definitely has me interested in Formula E a little bit as we go into 2021. Next up, let's bring out an old race car, and we have ourselves this is from a cereal box, I believe, an old STP Richard Petty car. Now, there's something interesting about this, and there seems to be like a little battery cell that's supposed to go in there, but I don't know what it does. I don't know anything about it. But all things considered, it's an STP car for Richard Petty with the old, I think it was Pontiac style design. Very aerodynamic for the time being, and very interesting. Like the front suspension is very, very stiff, while the rear very flexy, very toyish. So there's that. Next up is this. Now, I know to a lot of people this may look like nothing, but I found this little mural design sort of looking thing in a Maya. I'll go ahead and pan over to the top and you guys can see what's there. Actually, on bad thought, let's just go ahead and open up the doors and I can show you what's in here. So we got a Brett Moffitt F8auctions.com truck from when he won, I guess he didn't have sponsorship, but I think it was like Iowa or something. I just saw a truck and I thought that it was really cool. Alright, instead of showing the top because I can't get a good angle on it, let's just go ahead and show you what's inside at least. So we got an F8auctions.com. This truck was driven by Brett Moffitt for Hattori Racing a few seasons ago. I think that they didn't really have sponsorship, and they went out and they won like Iowa or something like that. It seems to me that it's very notoriously difficult to find Camping World trucks and stuff like that from not Racing Champions, but from the current line of NASCAR Diecast and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm not really big on winter versions of vehicles. I always like to get the stock version, but I don't know. I still thought it was kind of interesting at the very least, and went ahead and got it. Next up, let's get the car out of here. So in the garage, we got ourselves from Hot Wheels. Looking at the name, Viola Circuit. Yeah, Viola Circuit. I don't really know the origins behind this, but it's a Acura or Honda. It's a 1990 Acura NSX. I think it's really, really cool. Stuck that in the garage, and we got a cool, well, mostly cool paint scheme, in my opinion. I would have preferred the hard top being the color of the body, but it is what it is. It's an NSX. NSX is pretty legit. Next up, we got a Mazda Speed Ryu 1991 Mazda Miata LX5 in racing trim, so very cool there. I love the Miatas. I'm glad to be the owner of an actual, real, in-person Miata. I think they're very fun little sporty cars. Saw this and had to get it. Next up, we're gonna get this boy out. Got ourselves a 19. Oh, this is weird. I cannot find year on here. I believe that's a Chevy Impala, I think. It's weird I don't see the name on there. But it's a Chevy Nova. It's a Chevy Nova from like 1967 to 1969 with a jacked up suspension. It's more of a drag racer design, sort of. Thought it was interesting. This isn't particularly a body style or stancing that I particularly like the most, but still all the same, I thought it was cool. And a Chevy Nova, pretty cool car. Next up, we got ourselves a 1969 Ford Mustang Boss 302. Ford Mustang Boss 302. Sorry about that. Yellow is not particularly a favorite color of mine when it comes to Mustangs or cars in general. There are exceptions. There are definitely exceptions. But this, I mean, I would honestly prefer this in the classic Shelby-esque colors of blue body, white racing stripes, for example. But for this, very, very cool. And last up, out of the garage. I'm sure you guys have seen it peeking out. This was made by Johnny Lightning back in like 1999, I think. And by far is one of my favorite paint schemes I've ever seen. This is the Team Orca Dodge Viper GTR from 1999, driven by Oliver Beretta, I think it was. But run at Lamar, won the GT class, and has been in so many racing video games throughout the time of its life. I love, and I mean love, the American flag paint job that was done. Typically, I am someone who is very pro-symmetry on paint scheme and design. This is the exception. I just think that this paint scheme is absolutely beautiful, and I love it so much. Alright, so that's all the garage cars. I'm going to go ahead and put those away, and we'll move on to some other items too. Next up, this came from Kentucky Speedway as one of their promo trucks. We got a Greg Biffle inspired Ranger Ford F-150, I believe. Very interesting, all things considered. 1997 Ford F-150. Made by Hot Wheels, funny enough. It's very cool there. We'll see one of these later on, definitely. But we have one of these, I think it was Spin Masters. Dale Earnhardt Jr. National Guard cars. This is by far my favorite scheme. I do not like the body of this diecast in particular, which is why I actually exchanged it out for something else. Probably going to give this to one of my siblings or so, but it also makes a good reference car should I ever need to consult it for paint schemes or whatnot. So there's that. Something else I meant to show off. We've got something rather cool from the Cars series. We've got a Doc Hudson, Fabulous Hudson Hornet number 51. Got this back in 2009 with another item that I will show later on. I'm actually really happy that they made just a Hudson Hornet without any additional accessories or so. Considering everything that has happened in the Cars universe, this is actually pretty hard to find nowadays. Like I can't find one of these easily. But as someone who is a lover of history, and especially of NASCAR and car history in general, this is really badass. So, rest in peace, Paul Newman. But very cool design. Next up, it's time to bring out another big car. We got ourselves a 1969 Dodge Charger in yellow. I got this in a bingo game, actually. And what's cool about this is that it's going to be a little hard to show off. With the grill here, you can flip these little areas up and you get the lights on the car. And when you want it to get back into its more aerodynamic package and everything like that, you'd have to lift the hood up a little bit. I'm having some issues doing that. But just flip it back down. That was easy, all things considered. Flip it back down, Got a 1970 Dodge Charger. Doors open up. Pretty good interior, black interior. Trunk opens up, and we got a spare tire in there, just for visuals. Gas cap here, moves around a little bit. Hood opens up, but I'm having some issues doing that. And then even, as tiny as this is, get a good pinch on it. Okay, I'm having some issues, but, oh, there we go. The antenna lifts right up and almost fell right off the edge of the table. All in all, really, really cool. I just like this as a historical piece more than anything. So, and got that's the other thing I forgot to mention. The rear drivetrain actually rotates. I know it's hard to see, but it does move. It sticks a little bit when you try and roll it around, but it works well. There's that. Let's move on to the IndyCar. Alright, we'll kind of run through things a little bit quickly here because there's a lot to cover and a lot of cars, but let's go through it. So, we got a 2007, I believe, Scott Dixon IndyCar with Target Chip Ganassi on there from Hot Wheels. We got a Tony Kanaan 711 2007 diecast from his time at Andretti Green. We got Dan Weldon's winning 2011 William Last car from Greenlight. We got my more modern-esque favorite driver, Charlie Kimball. We got his Novolog Nova Flux Pen insulin pen car from I think 2012 or 2011. 2012 or 2013, can't remember what year. Then I got these at the 2019 Indianapolis 500. All these cars that you're about to see, unless stated otherwise. We got got James Hinchcliffe's number 5 Aero before McLaren came in. We got Robert Wickens, number 6 Lucas Oil Machine. We got Graham Rahal in a very, very nice red, white, and blue United Rentals car. The car that actually would cause, I think, issues for Rahal would be Sebastian Bourdais in his Sealmaster number 18 machine. And then in the back area, used to be sorted in the correct order in terms of age and everything like that, we got the 27 Napa Auto Parts IndyCar driven by Alexander Rossi. And then we got a 2003 event car from Kentucky Speedway, back when the IndyCar series used to run on it. And then a 2007, I believe, Marco Andretti machine, back when he drove the 26. And then we have a 05 Kentucky Speedway car, event car. So, there's all that. Those are all the Indy cars. Next up, I saw this, I think, in a Walmart, and after seeing this, I was like, I gotta get on this shit. So, we got ourselves a Davey Allison class of 2019 Hall of Fame hauler. And Davey was one of a few drivers that I really, really liked back in the day. He raced before my time and passed away, unfortunately, before I was born. But the life of Davey Allison has always interested me. I do apologize for some of the focus issues that I'm having at the moment. That's about the best I can do. But Davey, very, very beloved in the NASCAR community, gone far too soon. And when I saw this, I just thought it was amazing. And I did do one thing. I did actually get him on a 28 Texaco Haviland car of Davey. I think, yeah, a 1992 Racing Champions diecast, specifically a Davey, so that the hauler would always have recognition of Davey's life and career inside the hauler. There we go. Really cool piece of artwork, all the same. Thought this was really, really cool, and I'm glad that they did a few of these Hall of Fame haulers at the time. Kind of hope that they do more, but it's very nice to have a classic driver kind of represented. Davey Allison, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, we got some 187 scaled, still on the base, Dale Earnhardt Jr. diecast from the 2008 season. Definitely interesting little things. This is the first time that I'd ever come across cars like these. These were given to me or sold to me as a little package with a car that you'll see later on. And they're weird, they're interesting. Don't really see much of the point in them, but I always kind of liked them at least a little bit. And I could never really think about getting rid of them. Especially considering that I don't believe that I have the entire 2008 lineup of these cars. I think I may have like a 2008 car and then a 2009 car interspersed there somewhere, but I don't know. I really don't know. But we'll see later on, obviously. It's 187 Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s. Next up, unfortunately, the first and last NASCAR Cup Series race I got to attend at Kentucky Speedway. This is the 2019 event car. And, I mean, there really isn't much to it. This was the 20th anniversary of, like, the track being open and everything like that, so it was really cool all the same. I just kind of keep it packaged up and everything like that. Don't really see much of a point in getting it out, so there's that. But really cool, all things considered. So, event car. And I got to meet my bud Will from Northern Ohio there too, so very fun day, very interesting car. And I do hope that the Cup Series eventually does come back to Kentucky Speedway someday. Alright, this is an interesting piece of memorabilia. You guys might be wondering, what's inside this leather looking box with a gold 23 on it? Well, it is this. This was made, don't even know what year it was, but it's Plymouth by Petty, and we have a gold Plymouth Superbird, a rigid Petty, and then a light blue regular bone stock 426 cubic inch Plymouth Superbird. Now typically I would keep this open just for everyone to see, but because especially the gold car looks really, really nice, and I don't really want it to get all dusty and everything like that, I typically keep this closed and I put a few items on top of it. I know what's inside of there. Not many people do. We get to see it at least. So there's that. Alright, and before we get away and get deep into the 164s and everything, I wanted to highlight these two cars here and here. So we've got a Kyle Petty 1997 Hot Wheels Pro Racing car. I used to have a handful of Kyle Petty cars back in the day when I was a child. Unfortunately, most of them got smashed up, but I found this at a really good price and had to get it, and I decided to keep it sealed because it feels to me that Hot Wheels cars, especially Hot Wheels cars that were, made by Hot Wheels are getting harder to find. And then below that, so this is an interesting story. I know that a lot of people really don't have much of a care or an interest or anything like that in Todd Cleaver, but I actually got to meet Todd back in 2007. He was at a local Kroger, which is just a marketplace grocery store here in Ohio, mainly throughout Ohio, and he was doing an autograph signing. Not many people came to it, and frankly, I didn't really know much about Todd myself, but he was doing autographs. I got his autograph, and then because there were just so few people coming by to meet him, I was asked if I wanted to come back over and talk with Todd a little bit, since I clearly was interested in NASCAR and racing and everything like that. I got to sit down and talk to him for maybe about 20 or so minutes, and as such, he's one of my favorite under-tier drivers, I guess. Maybe that's not the right term, but I guess underdog drivers. Weirdly enough, I friended him on Facebook, and he still does racing, which is pretty cool. And as I think about it, a car I should sometime get in the future, I feel like I should get a Blake Feast NASCAR. I'm sure there's not many produced there, but still all the same. Todd Cleaver car, probably one of the rarest and most out of there types of cars that I have in my collection, but had to get it. So, got that at Eldora in 2019, actually. Alright, we're going to run through the 164 cars first, because getting up to see all the other 124s especially is going to be a little difficult, so we'll go through this. This here, we got a Hellman's Mayonnaise trailer of Dale Earnhardt Jr. This is actually a very, very difficult piece to find, and I surprisingly found it in a mire earlier this week. I collect a lot of Dale Earnhardt Jr. trailers, as he is my favorite, now retired, NASCAR driver, and looking on eBay and the like, finding a Hellman's Mayonnaise trailer was looking at $40 if I wanted one. Went into a mire, started looking around, and lo and behold, surprisingly, I found one for the MSRP regularly for these trailers, which is about $15. So there's that. It's just like any other trailer, but it's got Junior stuff on it from the 2020 Darlington race. So 2019 Darlington race, and you can, luckily, with all these trailers, you can fit about 3 cars into there. So definitely for some of the diecasts, I may move them into the trailer if I decide to get a little bit more space. Alright, let's start with the 164 cars, and we'll kind of go from there. So starting off first, I think we have a Plymouth Belvedere that I think Richard Petty drove back in the 1960s, I want to say. So we've got that. It's from the Racing Champions line. Some of these cars are a little scuffed up from just play usage and everything like that, but I will tell you, most of them in this case, they're perfectly fine. We have a 1970s pair of 1970s Dodge Chargers. So we got a Racing Champions one in the middle left there, and then to the right of that, we have from Hot Wheels, I think, a 1979 Dodge, definitely a 1970s Dodge Charger. And then as we move over, we have a 1979, that is definitely 1979 Chevy Monte Carlo from Racing Champions. But maybe it was the NASCAR lineup and everything. I don't know, to be honest. It's been a long time since I've gotten this. So there's that. So Richard's last championship car. Next up, I know it's a little hard to see. Let me throw my phone up and see if we can get some light. There we go. So we got ourselves a, I think it's 1996 Ford Thunderbird, driven by Ernie Irvan. It's a tribute to the late Davey Allison from his old Texaco Haviland car from like 1987, 1988. I think they ran this at Charlotte, and it's pretty darn cool, to be honest. I really do like it. Next up, next to that, is on in the more modern Cup era, a slightly, one of the older cars, a Ford Thunderbird driven by Bill Elliott when he was sponsored by McDonald's in the 94 car from, I think, 1997 is the last year that the Ford Thunderbird was available. Now you guys remember the red, not Twisted Sister, but the redheaded stepchild car that I had shown you guys earlier in the video. This one, actually here, that was from kind of toys and everything like that. Well, that one is the exact same car, just fresh out of packaging and everything, so went ahead and stuck that in there. I'll probably put the other AC Doco car, the one with the magnetic chassis, I'll probably put that in somewhere around here and go from there. Alright, here we go, a little bit more level with the camera. So in the top area, we have Jimmy Hensley's 43 truck. That was an old duplicate that I had from when my dad got me the box set and everything like that as a child. The one that he gave me was actually his, and that's the one that still is packaged up and everything like that. So we have the 43 Jimmy Hensley Dodge dealer's truck. Next up, I believe that is Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s either 1999 or 2000 rookie car. Now it has the Earnhardt Jr. naming on it. It is not a Budweiser car, but it is what it is. Next up to that, we have a black and yellow, something I didn't know actually existed. I believe it was either I think that is 2000 actually. I think we have ourselves a 2000 Matt Kenseth black and yellow DeWalt Ford Taurus there. Next to that, I do like the Wood Brothers. So we got Elliott Sadler from 2001 when he drove the Ford Motorcraft car, winning at Bristol in the spring. Next to that, we have ourselves the 77 car, the 77 Jasper Ford Taurus of Dave the Buckeye Bullet Blaney. I found that at a really good deal. I go to the flea market every now and then, and I just find good deals for stuff that is being sold at a reasonably cheap price, so had to get that. Next up to that, we have either it's John Andretti or Christian Fittipaldi in the 43 car, and then beyond that, we then have a 43 car with the Pop Secret colors on there as well. As we pan on back, we have a little bit of a beat up, but still overall pretty good. The test car, as I like to call it, it was a promotional ride for the Richard Petty driving experience, and I saw that in NASCAR Thunder 2002, I believe, NASCAR Thunder 2003, and NASCAR Thunder 2004. And I got that at Kentucky Speedway back when I was a little boy for free. I think it was just a promo thing that they were doing. I wish I could find another one, and especially one in like a 1/24 scale, but this will do. Next to that, I also got this car at Kentucky. We have the Kyle Petty number 45, I believe it was Hands to Victory car that I think was run at Richmond, if I remember correctly. The car is actually on display for a long time at Victory Junction, and I actually got to sit inside of the real thing, and I thought it was both very, very cool, and I always have appreciated this paint scheme. I think the design, and especially having been to Victory Junction and being a big supporter of the camp, I think that this is a beautiful car, and I wish more people knew about it, and I wish more people would talk about it, actually, more than anything. Next up, I don't really know why I have it in the case, but it's there. We have the 2006 Daytona 500 event car. I got this as a piece in, I think, either something that I ordered or someone sent it to me, but I thought it was really cool and for some reason stuck it in the case. Next up, this came from a backpack that I got from Victory Junction. It is Kevin Harvick's number 33 Brawny Super Duty Shop Towels. I always thought that this is an interesting scheme. I think this was run in 2007. Next up was a Christmas present from my parents, and it is Brad Keselowski's Navy Chevy that he drove for Junior Motorsports back in 2008. A very simple car, but I always loved the Navy 88. Next to that, we'll have to bring up the flashlight again, and you guys will get to see this. This was never actually run on track in terms of being the sponsorship for a race, but when Junior made a switch over to the 88, I had to get some of this stuff. So we have a silver 25th anniversary of Hendrick Motorsports, I believe, car that was promo shot with Jimmy, Jeff, and I think Casey Mears was in the 5 that season. The 5 had so many different drivers when Junior was there, I kind of lose track of it. So yeah, never run on track, but it was a promo car, and as abstract as it was, I kind of had to have it. Next to that, as you guys can kind of see, we got ourselves a 2009 Joey Logano Toyota Camry. Now, I'm not really big on Toyota, honestly. They're like my third favorite manufacturer in NASCAR, which puts them dead last pretty much, pretty close to Dodge. So, yeah, I was a big fan of Joey Logano as he was an up-and-coming driver. That kind of died out pretty quickly over the years. So it kind of went the way of the Dodo. But I did think that that 20 car, his rookie season, was actually pretty cool. So there's that. So let's go ahead and slide on back. And we will move to the next row. Next up, I'm going to pause real quick just to make confirmation. Alright, the reason why I paused, I needed to make sure that I knew which year it was. So, next to the, in the next line, we've got the 2008 National Guard Chevy Impala. I believe it was the Impala for that year. But we have the National Guard Chevy, and then we have the Amp Energy Chevy next to one another. The funny thing is I think that I actually had the National Guard car first, and it took me years and years later for me to finally get the Amp Energy car. I was initially just fine with it, fine without having the scheme, but in another way it also felt incomplete because right next to it, I believe these are the 2009 cars. I think on Dale Jr.'s website back in the day, there used to be a page where you could actually sit down and like look at all the schemes that were run for that season. And that's where a lot of these specialty like one race schemes came from. So next to that we have, if you guys can see there, we have the, I think it was the orange lava burst machine that I think was run at Richmond or run at one of the early season races. And then I think next to that, I think the sponsor was like Defend the Guard, but it was National Guard related. I know that was run at Richmond. I know that much. And then there's another car that I don't really know its history, and I hope you guys can see it well enough. That'll do. It's got like a green, it's mainly a black body, but it's got like green racing stripes and everything else like that. And I really don't remember what car this was run on. Pretty much the way that it went was, if I found a Dale Earnhardt Jr. car in like 2008, 2009 roughly, and I saw it in the stores like Target, Walmart, or whatever, I was gonna buy it. I was going to buy it and do that. So yeah, had to get it. So we're gonna go ahead and slide the camera down, and we'll look at some more cars here in just one moment. Alright, next up at the very top, we got ourselves, I believe, what was run at Darlington in 2009, I think. I personally always liked this paint scheme. It was Mountain Dew, I believe it was. I think it's just regular Mountain Dew. Like, it's got the Mountain Dew logo sort of on the door, but instead of it being like green with a red outline and everything like that, no, it's a black body, green outline on the lightning bolt, so to speak, and then a silver lightning bolt in the center. And I always thought that was such a cool scheme. It took me a while and kind of grew on me over time, but all in all, it's a badass scheme, and I wish more people would paint schemes on it for NR 2003. I just think it's a cool ass scheme. So, next up, we got ourselves a AJ Allmendinger number 43 Best Buy car. But as you guys can kind of see, it sort of has something scrawled on the rear sponsor area, and it says gift card. This is technically a gift card that I was given for Christmas, but the fact that it still has wheels, still rolls around, and it's a 1/64 scale car, it's a little bit out there, but I went ahead and put it in the case. Next up, I believe that we have 2011's Dale Earnhardt Jr. car. By the way it looks, it still has the wing. So maybe it was 2010. It's weird that I only have the Amp Energy car. I don't know why I never got the National Guard car, but I guess I didn't for some reason. I will say that I think around this time I was kind of getting tired of Junior's same paint scheme that he had run for about 3 seasons roughly. So white doors, main colored body, not really much variation there, and just kind of got done with it or so. So there's that. Next up in the top row, we have the 2011 Kentucky Speedway event car. So this is the inaugural race. I didn't go to it, but somehow along the way, the event car came into my possession. I don't even know really how, if I'm going to be completely honest. Next up, at the top row, now get the flashlight out once again. We have, by far, my favorite, and I mean favorite, Dale Earnhardt Jr. scheme that was ever run in his Cup career, the 2014 National Guard Chevy SS. I love this scheme so much. It kind of sucked that in the end, National Guard did have to leave NASCAR and left motorsports in general at the conclusion of the 2014 season. But this was good marketing, man. Like, I love the design of it. I love the American flag looking design on the doors. I like the gold engine tuned number design. I just thought it was really, really cool, and I have always loved this scheme. Something that I've run in NR a few times and do a little variation on it every now and then. I think it's cool though. I really, really do. Next up, we got the Kelly Blue Book. I believe that was definitely run in 2014. I know that much. I think it was run at Sonoma though. I don't think he had I think he had an okay day, like top 10 at least, but I know it wasn't a race winner, and it is what it is. Next up to that, we have a number 88 eBay car. It's kind of interesting as to how this car came into my possession. My girlfriend at the time knew that I shopped on eBay a lot to get some old NASCAR stuff, and before I had an Amazon, eBay is what I kind of went through. So she sent me this. She found this on eBay and sent it to me as a gift. And even though that we would break up a few years later, I never have had the heart to toss it out. It's an interesting paint scheme that I don't think people really remember, to be honest. I don't even remember this car ever being a thing, but all the same, even though that it ended the way it did, under some difficult circumstances, and so it was still a thoughtful gift. And I can't, I don't have the heart to do something like tossing it out for someone that I really, really once cared about. So, anyway, enough about that gushy stuff. Next up, we have, honestly, my least favorite Dale Earnhardt Jr. scheme I think that was ever made. It's the Diet Mountain Dew 2015, I believe, or 2014. I don't know. I know they used the scheme a few times, but I think it was 2015. Diet Mountain Dew silver and green car. Now, I'll explain a few reasons why. First of all, I think the silver is way too overpowering, and we've only got like a little bit of a strip of green. And really, the red numbers, like, I get that that was kind of the thing that Junior did in those years and everything like that, but I just hate that scheme. I hate that particular scheme and color choice so much. I have actually redone this in NASCAR 2003. I managed to change out the silver for black. We kept the green in there. I think it offered a lot more of a different color balance to it, which looked good. And then put circuit boards on top of the black and green. And then replace the regular stock Mountain Dew, Diet Mountain Dew logos with like light green, and made it really pop and look good. So yeah, went from my most hated scheme to my favorite recreated, redesigned scheme that I've done for gaming and everything like that. Next up, I got the 2015, maybe it was tail of 2014, I don't know, but 2015 at least, nationwide primary scheme that Junior drove, that he won at Talladega. And I think Junior won 3 races in 2015. I don't know that to be certain, but I know at least he won Talladega, and then he won Phoenix, second last race of the season. And unfortunately, as we would all know, that would be Dale's last win ever in NASCAR. So unfortunate, but I initially really didn't care much for this scheme, but it's grown on me. I bought this at a Bass Pro Shops, and I think that this was the more upper line cars that were available to pick out from versus the cheaper NASCAR collectibles that I showed you earlier. And then next to that, we have Chase Elliott's Darlington throwback car to Bill Elliott, I think 1988 or 1986, somewhere in that time frame. Coors oil pumps, I believe it is, or Coors beer, and then Melling oil pumps. I don't know how that whole sponsorship worked out. We got the 25. I thought that was going to be his number going forward in the future, but no, we got the 24 and then the 9. And I always liked this scheme. I mean, I'm not a massive Chase Elliott fan. He's not even my favorite driver in the current lineup, which you'll see a little bit later on. But yeah, like, I just thought that was a really cool piece and something that really probably didn't have a lot of them made. So I just felt I needed to get it. Next up, we would have what would be the 16 or 21 race car of Dale Jr. and then go to a split of I think Alex Bowman and Jeff Gordon, I know for a fact. The 2016 nationwide scheme. This one was also a little bit plain to me, but it did grow on me over time. It's a car that I think has its merits and everything like that, but you know, it is what it is. I don't really know what to feel other than the fact that I'm just sad that Junior got injured. And that's really all I can say about that. And it sucks that he didn't get another win. Next to that, we have Ryan Blaney's number 21 Quick Lane Motorcraft Ford Fusion. I'm sorry, they were still running the Fusion that year. The funny thing is Blaney is now my favorite driver. Like in the current line of drivers, he is my absolute favorite. Sorry, camera battery died. Anyway, I thought that in regards to the whole entire situation, Blaney going out, winning race, or getting race win number 99, I believe, for the Wood brothers, was really, really cool. The whole entire circumstances regarding his victory was really interesting. And kind of starting from there is when I started to become a Blaney fan. I didn't know it because obviously next season we would have a big announcement. Dale Earnhardt Jr. would run in what would be his final Daytona 500 in this white and blue, the blue and white, nationwide insurance car. He would run in the Daytona 500, was doing pretty good. Kyle Busch blows a tire, they wreck, and about maybe 7 races later, Dale Earnhardt Jr. announces just shortly after the Bristol race for the spring event, due to a tire failure, I believe, or something with brakes failing, he is retiring at the end of the NASCAR season and will no longer be a driver. You know, it's kind of funny to me. His transition, I guess with us getting the National Guard 2014 scheme, it took me a long while to really like the 2015, 2016, and 2017 cars. The schemes have really grown on me as time has marched on. 2017 is still, 2017 is still not my absolute favorite. But I do like the design of the car. I think it's really the white lines that are on there that kind of throw me off a little bit. Like, I don't really know how I'd be able to recreate them cleanly on a more modern NASCAR, like the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series 2019 mod with the Camaro, or similar situation. So, unfortunately, paint scheme never really had a lot of success for Dale Earnhardt Jr. himself. He really didn't have a lot of success in 2017. But I'm glad that he actually got to have one final season and just going to go out on his own terms. I am happy about that. Next up, we've got his Darlington throwback car. Personally, my favorite. There is some slight variation with body panels and everything like that, but it is his 1999 EC Delco colors with nationwide sponsoring and everything like that. And I just think it's a cool scheme. It's a solid throwback that he did. And even better, as we pan over again, we get down to this gray and black beauty. This is supposed to be Dale Jr.'s throwback machine that he was supposed to run in the 2016 Bojangles Southern 500 at Darlington. Unfortunately, due to his concussion and everything like that, he never got to race it in Darlington. But Nationwide had an agreement with him, and they were like, okay, you want to race that scheme? You get to race it at Martinsville in the fall. And I was like, yes. And to what I remember, he actually did pretty good in that scheme. Wasn't really up front the entire time to be a race winner or so. I think he got in like the upper top 5, but it was really cool to see. There is one car in this whole lineup that I do not have that I now kind of wish I have, and that was this Talladega scheme that he drove for the fall event. That was the one time where I thought that Junior would actually be able to get the win. Lucky in many ways that his protege, one of his secondary proteges in Brad Keselowski, managed to go out and win the race. And I think Junior got away with like a fourth place finish at Dega. So unfortunately I don't have that scheme in 164 or 124 or anything like that. And then we have his Homestead finale race, and I'm starting to get emotional about this. It just, I kind of knew, especially by this point, that, you know, around the time that he was running Richmond, before they had the playoffs and everything like that, I felt such a feeling that this was a sad season to be a Junior fan. There were moments where he would do okay, but I just had this feeling that he was never going to be able to go out and get the win in his final season and essentially do what, you know, Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart got to do in their final seasons and everything. And, you know, it took me a while to find these, but I mean, it's a throwback to his rookie car. When I knew Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the racetrack, it was back when he drove in 1999 at Charlotte Motor Speedway and Michigan and stuff like that. And I just thought his 1999 / I technically think that was also his 2000 scheme. I just think it's a badass scheme, and it's kind of nice that he got to use that scheme again to run his final race. So at least as close as they could get without Teresa Earnhardt coming in and suing the ever-living crap out of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Rick Hendrick and everything like that for the paint scheme design. I don't care much for Teresa Earnhardt, but that's a story for another time. Next up, we got a Ryan Blaney. I can absolutely tell you that this is Ryan Blaney. Discount tire Ford Mustang. To what I remember, I think that, you know, we've seen the 22 discount tire car for many, many seasons now. For many, many years, but I think it was kind of his win in Kentucky a handful of years ago, back when he was still running exclusively in the trucks in the Xfinity series every now and then. I was like, okay, you know, I'm starting to like Ryan Blaney. I always liked Dave Blaney as an underdog. You know, I'm starting to really like this Ryan Blaney guy, and he's from Hartford, Ohio. I'm from Cincinnati, so there's the Ohio residency that always makes me smile a little bit. Not enough drivers from Ohio, I think, get a lot of comment or notice in the world of NASCAR, which kind of stinks, but so yeah. And then next to that, when he first started driving in the 12 car, we've got the, I think it was, Duracell Menards Day Glow Yellow or something like that. They drove in 2018. I never liked this scheme, if I'm going to be completely honest. I think it's just a little bit too bright, but it is what it is. I wanted to make sure that I had his scheme that he would run in the Daytona 500 and everything like that, and just kind of went off of that. Next up, we have by far my favorite, and I mean absolutely favorite, Ryan Blaney scheme that he has driven thus far, and it makes me so sad that this is no longer the case. Frickin' love the design of the PPG scheme. Just, like, let's get some light on that. This reminds me, maybe not on the same level, obviously, because it is different, but bruh, like, that reminds me of some wicked ass stuff that you would probably see Jeff Gordon race when he had DuPont on the hood. You know, different situation, but like, that's just a really pretty dark blue, and it like is a rainbow spectacle just fading into the body of big beautiful swirls of like purples and pinks and reds and yellows and greens, and it's just so beautiful. I love that scheme so much. It just sucks he never won in it, to my knowledge. I don't... Yeah, in my knowledge, Ryan Blaney has never won in the PPG scheme. And it sucks that that's the case. The life of being me as a NASCAR fan. Next up, as you guys saw earlier with the scheme with Dave Blaney's number 77 car, we've got his Darlington throwback that was run in 2019, I believe. And that is his, I think it was Moen or it's Duracell. I'm sorry. The Duracell Menards throwback to the Jasper scheme that Dave drove. And I mean, as being a simple paint scheme, I just think it's cool. I think it's cool that he did a tribute to Dave, and I really think that that's awesome. I think it's cool that it exists, and I just kind of had to have it. Next up, if we look in the deep corner there, next to Dale Earnhardt Jr. from the E-Concert, we got Matt DiBenedetto in what would be a tribute to Jeff Burton, with Corvette Parts sponsoring him. I will say this, if there is one more Matty D car that I would love to own, it is probably going to be his 2017, I think it was, Martinsville scheme with the Peanuts characters on it. I wasn't a fan of Tony Stewart growing up, at least when he was in the 20, but I always liked that paint scheme because I just think it's a cool design. But we do get a tribute to the, in my honest, it's not my favorite scheme that Burton drove, but the 2000 electric design with Corvette Parts and Ford Fusion at the time as the make, model, sponsor, all that good stuff. Next up, we will pan over and then drop the camera a little bit, and we will end up in the final row. So here we go, last row of cars. So here we go, we have Martin Truex Jr.'s number 78 Tracker Boats Bass Pro Shops car in what would eventually be his final season with Furniture Row Racing. I just think that his 2017 scheme, I would have liked to have that, especially with some of the paint schemes and everything like that they had. But as the reigning NASCAR champion, I was perfectly fine with getting that. Like I said, I do personally prefer his previous season scheme, but it still was very important, going into the next season. And he almost won the championship. I mean, come on. He finished second in the championship points, and not by much. Only by a position, 2 at most. So I thought, like I said, I'm not big on Toyota, but the monumental impact that Truex had on his career in NASCAR, winning the 2017 championship. I may have not gotten the 2017 car, but I did get the 2018 car. Next up, we got ourselves another Ryan Blaney PPG scheme, but there is a slight difference. We shifted from the old Ford Fusion to the Ford Mustang. So there really isn't much of a paint scheme difference here, just new body. Not really much to say other than it's really cool. And I love that scheme. Next up, we've got the 2019 Dale Earnhardt Jr. Hellman's Darlington throwback car, which he ended up getting 3rd place in, if I remember correctly. Either he got 3rd or he got 5th place, and although he really wasn't dominating, he was consistent at least. It took me a long while to find this car finally, but it's just kind of funny to me because I found the car before I found the trailer, as I mentioned earlier. It's a simple scheme, but it's history too. I didn't really know if Dale Jr. was ever going to climb back into a NASCAR or anything like that. And sure freaking enough, he absolutely did. And that's the crazy thing to me. He's run Richmond, he's run Darlington, and as we'll see in a little bit, as you can kind of see in the corner there, he's run Homestead. And he's done solid at all of them. He's managed to finish in the top 10 at once. So, yeah, I'm not really big on the paint scheme personally. I think it's a little simple, but all the same, it's that's cool. That's cool to see my favorite driver go out and race Darlington and get away with a 3rd place finish. And just awesome. Next up, we have the 2020 Ryan Blaney Advanced Auto Parts car. Personally, a lot of people have complained about the coloring with the whole situation of the scallop, so to speak, with the Penske style striping type deal that goes on the cars. I'm kind of tired of it too, but by far the Advanced Auto Parts car is honestly my favorite that they have done in this past season. I thought that the wheel color was looking good. I like that it kind of reminds me of Frank Kimmel and his Arca car. I just think it's a cool design, all things considered. I know it's just essentially a touch-and-go recolor, but it is what it is, and I do like it. Next up, we got 3 cars, 2 run virtually, one raced on the actual racetrack, and 2 of these cars run at Homestead like within the same week. So we got Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s, I believe, 5th place finishing Homestead Miami NASCAR that he drove in real life at Homestead Miami Speedway in March roughly, March or April. Did pretty good. I knew already that because I had the Hellman's car already, it's like, alright, I gotta get the 2020 car, and I gotta do it, because this is going to run out pretty quickly. So there's that. So we got the 2020 Hellman's car. Personally, I like the design a little bit more. I know that it's not the Darlington scheme, but I do like it. The only complaint that I have is that I wish that the door lettering where the Hellman's is, I wish that was in blue, for example, instead of white. I really don't like sponsorship that is white on a yellow background, at least with too thin of a outline, because it just kind of blends in. It doesn't really pop. And we already have a design with the 8 on there. Well, boom, it's out there, it's bold, it's just good contrast. It's a simple scheme, but yeah. Junior did really, really good, and I wanted to have it. Because who knows how many races Junior's going to run. Next up, this was a little difficult to find, actually, but it's the iRacing Cup Invitational that Pro Invitational that Dale Jr. drove to almost victory against Denny Hamlin with filter time. This is a scheme that my buddy DJ managed to recreate for me onto the modern NASCAR Chevy Camaro body and everything like that. So I plan on racing this ahead in the IMRC series and everything like that. I just think it's really, really cool. As crappy as 2020 was, I really, really think that is a badass scheme, and I really, really wish that maybe not necessarily a cup race, just because of the amount of grueling effort it would take. I just kind of would like to see him run it in the Xfinity Series potentially next year. I think the filter time is definitely going to be a good sponsor for JRM well into the future. And then the last card to talk about, and I know it's a little difficult to see, but we got ourselves the Dale Earnhardt Jr. iRacing Michigan car with the number 3 Nationwide Insurance as the sponsor, all that good stuff on there. So we got that car. This is the last car that I have purchased in 2020. It is probably the last 164 I'm probably ever getting because I am practically out of space. But yeah, that's everything. Let's kind of just take a look at the whole entire block of cars, actually. So here we go. 56 164 scale NASCARs, and then sitting right up top is the Hellman's trailer and everything. So we're going to go ahead and point the camera up, and I will do my best to explain what I can for all the items up there in the 124 section. I do apologize for a little bit of the LED lights, but this is kind of the best way to at least show off everything and tell you guys about all the stuff that's associated up here. So let's start off with the trailers real quick. We have, I believe, a 2002 family-friendly, kid-friendly Dale Earnhardt Jr. Diecast trailer. This was sent to me by my buddy Will up in northern Ohio. He had some diecast stuff that he was looking to get rid of, and was asking us around in our group chat and everything if anyone wanted anything. And I was like, yeah, let me know what Dale Jr. stuff you have. And he sent me this. I specifically asked for this in particular. And I was like, yeah, I really, really want that. I think that'd be really, really cool. Next to that, we have the 2009 Amp Energy trailer, Amp Energy drink trailer that Dale Earnhardt Jr. drove. Well, at least not drove, but the team used and everything like that. So I want to go back to an earlier story when I was telling you guys about the Doc Hudson 51 car. My aunt, back in 2009, instead of doing a traditional sort of like, here's some cash, here is, you know, a gift or so, she had a very simple idea. Set aside a little bit of money and go on a shopping trip with her. So we went to Target, and with my money, I requested that we get the Doc Hudson car. That was what I wanted. And then when I saw this Dale Earnhardt Jr. trailer, I was like, I totally want that. I do not have, at this time, I don't have a single NASCAR trailer. My dad has a Jeff Burton one that is really, really interesting. I think it's the purple metallic XI batteries car that Jeff Burton drove in like a race or two in 1999. I always thought it was cool, and I never had a trailer to go along with anything. And they're not easy to come by. And I was like, if I'm going to get a trailer, I got to get one of these things. And they have one, at least a Dale Earnhardt Jr. And I thought, yes, awesome, gotta do it. And I did. So, there's that. So, alright, we'll tilt things down a little bit, and I can tell you more about the diecast and everything like that. And we'll go through there. So at the top area, we have a 1959, I believe, Oldsmobile 88 that Richard Petty drove. I got this off of eBay, I believe it was, or Facebook Marketplace. I can't remember. But I saw this, and the convertible version, the convertible division of NASCAR is something that I think gets forgotten about at least a good amount. And I've never seen convertibles made for NASCAR to represent that era, and I always thought it was cool. So we've got an Oldsmobile 88 of Richard Petty, and I just thought it was cool. I also have a hero card of that car with a little bit of a different design. It's got white numbers on the doors instead of red. But having a diecast, like, this is the oldest diecast in terms of like car year that I have, and I just think it's sweet. Next up, we have, and I'd kind of like to swap it out someday in the future, but I do like the design of it. We have a 1993 or 1996. I'm a little lost in terms of the years, but we have a Chevy Camaro of Dale Earnhardt Jr. when he drove in the late model division. Now, the actual car is supposed to be white, but there was a specific and special production design that was done in the early-ish years of the Action collectibles and everything like that, the RCA collectibles and whatnot. And they had this in a primer-esque design that, honestly, I think is just really, really cool. So, personally, I am more a fan of primary schemes. I don't really like alternates all that often, but this is one that I am somewhat willing to make an exception on. I kind of would like to just have the white version too, and just have that be maybe a little bit more on display, but it is what it is. So yeah. So we got a gray primer version of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s late model. Next up below that, we got Dale Earnhardt Jr., I believe his 1998 championship winning AC Delco car. As you can kind of notice, I got a fondness for these cars, so there's that. Got that, and I think just really, really cool to have up in the case. I'll actually show you guys one later on that really means a lot to me, and we'll talk about that later on. But at the very least, blank number 3 championship winning AC Delco car. Next up, now at the top row, and we can cover almost every car from now on. We got Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s 2000 scheme that he drove in the NASCAR NASCAR Winston Cup Series. It's not specifically his Texas win car, but it is from the same time frame and everything like that. I thought it was really, really cool, and I kind of wanted to do the same that I was going with for some of the older 164 scaled NASCARs, and wanted to do the same with 124. There are obviously some differences, as I mentioned. So, next to that, we have Kenny Irwin Jr.'s Busch Series car, I believe, with the Bell South logos and everything like that. This one kind of just fell into my lap or so. Someone was selling a bunch of old diecasts to us in bulk. We didn't really know what we were getting, but I thought that the Kenny Irwin Jr. car, I thought that it was at least a appropriate tribute. And kind of when I had the Kenny Irwin car, I was like, you know what, I kind of got to finish out this entire row in 2000, and it'll be a little bit of a tribute. So next to that, we have I am so used to it. We have Adam Petty's single and only start in the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, his 2000 Texas car. Unfortunately, car's engine let go early into the race. Early-ish. I think they probably only got like maybe 50 or so laps into the car, maybe a little bit more. And I'll turn my lights off for this, but if you guys can see it well. Yeah, guy on eBay was willing to sell it to me, and it was surprisingly pretty affordable, all things considered. But yeah, just a real heartbreaker. I really do like Adam. I liked Adam Petty for who he was, and you know, we certainly wish that we could have gotten to see his racing career fold out. But yeah, thanks to the Pettys, thanks to NASCAR and everything like that, they've all managed to come together and build a great thing with Victory Junction. And I kind of find myself lucky that I managed to get some old Adam Petty hero cards too, and just to kind of have a little bit of memorabilia in relation to not necessarily his death per se, but back when he was alive, back when he was a racer, you know, back when he wasn't necessarily a footnote in NASCAR's history. So there's that. Next up, we'll go ahead and tilt the camera down a little bit, and you guys can actually see the rest of the cars. In the top corner, we got Kevin Harvick's 2002 GM Goodwrench car. This scheme has certainly grown on me, but the thing that kind of blows me away is that the hood is signed by Kevin Harvick. One thing I meant to say, part of the reason why I'm not getting these cars down is it is an absolute pain to climb up there, and it is a pain to get them down, and it is a pain to then put them back up and then close this whole case up. But the hood is signed by Kevin Harvick. I am disappointed that the hood is signed. I do like it better when drivers sign the windscreen and everything like that. But it is Kevin Harvick's 2002 GM Goodwrench Chevrolet. I don't think he had he did not have a great 2002 season, and it's sad that they only used that scheme for 1 year, but I do like it. Next up, we got Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Daytona 2002, that's a key word here, 2002 winning Daytona race car when he drove the number 3 Oreo Ritz car. And this would be a productive sponsorship, especially with Junior, at Daytona for like the next 3 to 4 seasons. So he won in 2002 driving Richard Childress's number 3 car. Managed to pretty well dominate the thing and went out and got the win. And you know, a lot of people I think would recognize this from NASCAR Thunder 2003, as certainly I do. But I have a little bit more nostalgic value to the car. Right next to it is 2003 Oreo Ritz car. I actually have a hat that is from this particular scheme, and I always love the hat. I'm okay with the design, but I think that it is cool all the same. You know, won Daytona again in 2003 and managed to go out on top with it. So very, very cool to have much later on in life. Next up, we got Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s 2003 Budweiser Chevrolet. It's just a generic Chevy. It's just the generic 2003 Budweiser car. Nothing really all that special about it, but it is, you know, is a primary scheme. It is mainly what he drove throughout the 03 season, and I really, really like it. Next up, we have the E-Concert car. Now, you guys remember, I told you earlier in this video that I have another one of these cars. This is the one that is just purely display. It is much more designed to be a model than anything else. And years and years later, actually back in like 2019, I think, I was like, I want to go ahead and get one to replace the damaged one, but I'm going to keep that one specifically in a case and leave it at that. So, went out, got this badass paint scheme that I really wish someone would recreate in NR, especially for like one of the more modern cars. The E-Concert car is a freaking slick scheme. And he goes to Talladega and he goes out and he wins it. And I think that's awesome. Next up, and this is something I hope to rectify in the future, we have Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s 2004 Busch Series Daytona Hershey Kisses 300, I think it was, Oreo Ritz paint scheme that won the originally scheduled Saturday and then won on Monday Daytona Busch Series car. Third win in a row for Dale Earnhardt Jr. at Daytona for the Busch Series event. Love this scheme. I love the blue, like, metallic flake on it. I like the white and the contrast to it. I love the blue roof number. You know, if Junior was more sponsored by candy and everything like that, I think that I would have owned a lot more Dale Earnhardt Jr. cars and stuff like that, and a lot of other Dale Jr. memorabilia from his time in the 8. But yeah, that Oreo Ritz blue car is beautiful. Now here's what I hope to rectify sometime in the future. Thinking about it now, I really wish that I had his born on date February 15th, I believe it was. No, February 14th, I think it was. 14th or 15th, I can't remember which day it was. But it's 2004 Daytona 500 winning car. Doesn't even have to be the raced version of it. I personally don't like raced versions of cars as it is. I like them smooth and clean and ready to go on the track for the first time. You know, really, really slick. But unfortunately, I don't have that car. I would certainly be looking to pick it up sometime in my future, even if it meant, say, sliding Kevin Harvick out and then sliding in the 04 Daytona 500 car and putting that in the place where the E-Concert car is. Something like that. You know, that's okay. Next up, we're going to flash forward to a few years later, and we have Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Budweiser Father's Day car from, I think, 2006 at Michigan that was in design and reference to Ralph Earnhardt. Now, I don't really know exactly why I got this scheme, why I got this car. It's not even like a super impressive scheme, all things considered. But I always thought it was cool, and Dale Jr. was actually running really good that race. The race ended up finishing with rain and everything like that, and I think Casey Kane won, I can't remember. But Dale Earnhardt Jr. was driving really, really good, and I just think it's, I don't think that many of these cars were made. There's a part of me that definitely wishes that I had a 1/64 scale of it, but you know what? As simple as a car as it is, I just think that there's something special about it. And before we got into the whole aspect of the Darlington throwback race, like, I just think that's really, really cool. Next up, we flash to the 43 car. Yep, we got another 43 in there, one of two in the case. So we got Rich Petty. This was sent to me actually either by Richard at Victory Junction or something. I don't know who exactly sent it to me, but I know it came from someone within Victory Junction and got to me. So the story on this is that so I went to Victory Junction in 2009, 2010, and when I went back in 2010, I think I had found out that Linda Petty was sick, and just age and everything else like that, like just stuff going on with the Pettys. And I wrote a letter. I delivered it to the staff of Victory Junction. Went and had my fun at Victory Junction. And then about maybe 3 weeks later, I get a box sent to me in the mail. And I'm just thinking, oh, I accidentally left a t-shirt behind, maybe it was a blanket that I left behind or something. No. They sent me Richard Petty's 200th win paint scheme on the COT. And to make matters even better, that scheme, that car, is also signed by Richard himself on the windshield. And I think it's so cool. I kept it out on regular display for the most part for a few years, but now it's in a case, and it's going to stay in a case forever and for more, because I don't want it getting damaged or anything like that. But I just thought that was a really sweet gesture. I wasn't even asking for anything. Considering the fact that I got to meet Richard Petty at Indianapolis back in 2009, I got to go to Victory Junction, obviously the year before, and got to have a blast there and meet some awesome people. Some people I'm still friends with today, I just thought that was such a kind gesture by Victory Junction, or Richard Petty, or Petty family, or, just all that group of people. At least that's what how I think it went. But they sent a car to me, and I really do appreciate it. So, and I think I was just looking to get a letter back. I was just writing a letter just like saying, I hope you all are doing well. Some bad stuff has happened in the last year. I'm sorry for that, and I wish you love and peace. I get a giant 1/24 scale diecast of one of the biggest moments of the King's career. So, yeah, definitely interesting. The next two cars, the 288 cars, is kind of just a repeat of the 164s. It's just the 2009 schemes from 2008 schemes. So we got one National Guard first, and then the second one Amp Energy Drink with Mountain Dew and everything like that. I got that car actually from Victory Junction as just a gift offering. Something that I think everyone got was I got a 1/24 scale NASCAR. I don't know if they were all Dale Earnhardt Jr., but I got Dale Earnhardt Jr. And effectively, this was the very first pro adult collector 124 that I had ever gotten. And I went back later on and got the 1/24 National Guard colors too. Next up, and it kind of just goes along with the rest of things, we got the 2014 National Guard car, we got the 2015 Nationwide car, we got the 2016 Nationwide car, we got the 2017 Nationwide car, And then I can't even remember where I got it. I think I may have gotten it off of eBay. But I found Ryan Blaney's 1/24 scale NASCAR from when he drove the Southern 500 in 2017 with Kyle Petty on the roof rail and everything like that, and really just thought it was so cool to have and to find and to get and everything. So yeah, got that, and that was kind of the start of the Blaney train, so to speak. And then the final three cars are pretty self-explanatory for the most part. We've got Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s Darlington ride from 2017 with nationwide insurance in reference to the AC Delco paint scheme. We've got his final race at Homestead, Miami with the Exalta color, with the Exalta sponsorship, his colors from the 2000 rookie season. And then next to that was kind of interesting. So this last car is Ryan Blaney's PPG car. Here's the thing, this is like the cheapest model, something I didn't realize. And the thing is originally, the trunk didn't open up. It was just like secured by a piece of plastic. I have a duplicate of Dale Jr.'s 2016 paint scheme. Like I have a duplicate 1/24. And I went ahead and Frankenstein that so that way the trunk can open now. I can't really do too much in terms of the chassis, at least. I'm sure I could be able to find a replacement chassis and just swap them around, but I don't want to do that. Takes a little bit too much effort. So anyway, that is nearing the end. I've just got a couple more things that I want to show you guys, and that will wrap it up for the diecast in this very I wanted to just kind of quickly show this up. I got a Kyle Petty pennant from like 1997. I think on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. Just looking around at stuff. Got an old Bobby Hamilton placard from I think it was a Monte Carlo 400 at Richmond that used to have a diecast of it. We got another Dale Earnhardt Jr. 164 Daytona Busch Series winning car. We got an old 2003 Dale Earnhardt Jr. Pennant that I've had for so many years. Got some additional racing stuff. Got some stuff for the Cincinnati Reds just to show that off. A little bit of Weird Al Yankovic too. And then if I point my camera up, we've got this little 3-pack of Dale Earnhardt Jr. cars. So we got his 2002 paint scheme. We got his 2002 Oreo Ritz car, and then his 2002 Nilla Wafers car, and I made sure to mark down what races they will run at for the most part, and I think I put the finishing one or two, can't remember, but I put that up, and I think it's really, really cool. So we're going to go ahead and just move the camera back down a little bit, and we're going to talk about some of the items up here. So here we go. Let's talk about the first item displayed at a kind of shallow angle and everything like that. This is I believe it was the Coyote number 2 Indy 500 winning car driven by AJ Foyt. This was given to me by my uncle, who's big into Indianapolis lore and everything like that. And everything of the sort. He had this at his house for a number of years. I think that the cats at his house just kept bothering it, so he went and he gave it to me. Unfortunately, the suspension broke, like the steering column broke, so I've had to super glue the centering bracket to get the wheels to turn and everything like that like 2 times. And I could not get it to stabilize 100% correctly. So it stays in its little pitted case, so to speak, with the tire inserts on. With a very cool piece of memorabilia all the same. Alright, so after the battery died, now the memory card is full and had to swap that around. So, cool. Here's how it is. Anyway, moving on. So yeah, we got a big scale IndyCar and everything like that. Next up, this piece of design that I got is a Ryan Blaney Wabash National Supreme Ford Mustang that was run, I think, this past season in 2020. May have been 2019. But Team Penske occasionally has like special race day deals and everything like that. So with that, they had a deal where for like $50, I think, you could buy a signed Ryan Blaney diecast. Now, I had met Ryan the previous year, a couple of years earlier, actually. But the way that I kind of wanted to have it is I kind of like I don't have any of the modern 12 cars except for the PPG car and everything like that. But I thought, you know what, that's actually a pretty good deal. So I went ahead, I got a case then off of NASCAR.com's website. The car is signed on the windscreen by Ryan himself. And honestly, out of all the paint schemes, this is one that I don't dislike. Yeah, I do think that this is a decent scheme. Not my favorite by any means, but I did get the Xfinity Wabash National, at least I think it was, Wabash National Hero card signed by Ryan. So, yeah, just a good deal all in all. It took a little bit to get together, but I figured, you know what? Good to have a separate signed diecast I can look up at, when I'm racing or whatnot, and get a little bit of inspiration from. Next up, we got a Dale Earnhardt Jr. Championship Trophy lifting winner's circle box. So it's got his either 1998 or 1999 championship car there. He's hoisting up the trophy. It's wrapped up in a box and everything like that. So there's that. And then below it, I didn't necessarily intend for it to be this way, but I have Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s another AC Delco NASCAR from Revel, I think it was. And the deal with this one was I got this initially from the same guy who gave me that 42 Kenny Irwin car. But this was just in a special case and everything like that. Like, it came with a base, a case, and everything like that. When I met Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 2019, I believe. January 2019. I had him sign the windscreen of the AC Delco car. And he kindly went ahead and signed a few of my hero cards that I had, too. And let everything go there. And I thought that was absolutely cool. I kind of wish, thinking about it now, especially the fact that he was willing to sign additional items, I kind of wish that I maybe brought a 124 as well of like the Budweiser car, or a 124 of the National Guard car. But you know what? I think that it would kind of be cool just anyway. If I can only get one car signed, I was going to get his Busch Series AC Delco car signed to kind of just have it be where it started. And this final item, which isn't a diecast, but I will show it anyway. A little hard to see, I know. But up in that corner over there is Dale Earnhardt, a 2017 Dale Earnhardt Jr. mini helmet that I found at a really good price, actually. Went ahead, like all the other things, I got a case for it as well, so it wouldn't get all dusty and so. But yeah, I thought that it was really cool. I would really, really love to have like a full-size racing helmet someday, and maybe decal it up to look like either Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s helmet or something else for that matter. But I just think that it was really, really cool, and I couldn't pass it up. It's just a simple little trinket, but it goes together well. So we got some stuff of the past and everything like that with Dale Jr. and his early years, and Ryan Blaney with being drivers of the future, and a little bit of appreciation and love for Indianapolis with the AJ Foyt car and other things of that sort. And the last thing that I do want to show doesn't deal with diecast, but it does deal with things that I enjoy. I'm sure you guys have seen those pop vinyl Funko pop vinyl figures out there. So over the last couple of years, I've collected the ones that are meaningful to me, and I'll go through them real quick. I got a Spyro and Sparks. Sparks is hiding up behind the yellow fins of Spyro's head, but got a Spyro pop vinyl, which I thought was really cool. Favorite video game series growing up. We got Weird Al Yankovic right next to him holding an accordion. And then we get into the NASCAR stuff. We got Dale Earnhardt Jr. in his driving fire suit and everything. So that Dale Jr. looking absolutely adorable in the design. I really do think that these little characters are kind of cute. And then we got Ryan Blaney in the Menards base with the gold rimmed aviators. Then we got Bubba Wallace from when he was driving the 43 STP car and whatnot for Rich Petty. And then next to him we got Rich Petty in his 1992 Fan Appreciation Tour. And then just a final little note here. I know that you can't really see it, but I met voice actor Greg Baldwin back in 2019 and bought this pop vinyl figurine from Avatar The Last Airbender, and as the second voice of Iroh, he went ahead and took his time and kindly signed it for me, and I bought a couple of pieces of artwork from the table, had him sign that as well. So that's really about it. I'll show you guys one last thing, and it's just a real quick look, and it's just a little bit of artwork that I have up on my walls relating to NASCAR at least. Here we go, last little thing, an assortment of wall art. These are mainly spare hero cards or whatnot that I have that I just kind of wanted to hang up on the wall and everything. So we got Dale Jr.'s AC Delco card. We got a hero card of Steve Park that I had an extra of. A picture of Steve Park from the 1995 NASCAR Winston Cup season. There we go. Get a little bit more of a better view of that. Dale Jr. and Dale Sr. at Charlotte with Dale Jr.'s rookie season car there. A signed picture of Dale Earnhardt Sr. Signed picture of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Cincinnati Reds 150th. Got over there signed picture of Dale Earnhardt and Dale Earnhardt Jr. from Dale Jr.'s Busch days. Got a Dale Earnhardt clock. Got a Batman and Robin picture that I hope to someday have signed by Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman. Got a Josh Keaton Spider-Man signed piece of artwork. Just really for Josh Keaton. I thought he's been a good voice actor in history. Greg Baldwin's signature from the same place that I got the pop vinyl signed. A picture of Zuko with his dual swords. Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Steve Letarte signed picture of them. Below that we got a Ryan Truex hero card that I thought was kind of cool to put up on the wall. Got Dale Earnhardt Jr. This is just kind of a bit of irony in all of it, but Dale Earnhardt Jr. apparently celebrating, but he did not win the 2011 October. I think it says October 11th, 2009? Maybe not. I thought it was supposed to be regarding when he ran out of gas at Charlotte, but it is what it is. So there's that. 2020 NASCAR calendar. Nothing really big to speak there. 2015 Dale Jr. Hero card. 2016 Dale Jr. Hero card. Photocopy, just because no, that's an original. A duplicate. Hellman's Mayo 2020 Darlington Hero card that I have. 2004 August Bristol winner, Dale Earnhardt Jr. This was too big to put in the sheet protector or so, but we got a signed Ron Hornaday Longhorn Smokeless Tobacco truck that was Hero Client that was signed by him. Don't know why we have a picture of Danik Patrick up there, but we do. And then a set of signed cards from lifelong Cincinnati Reds player Barry Larkin. And then one of my favorite players on the Reds before he was in Cincinnati's development, Sean Casey, back in his rookie year with a signed card. So, guys, that is everything. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the showcase, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you, and goodbye.